Lloyd lives in Kunlun village with his grandfather and older brother. Years later, he travels to Azami Kingdom to study for the soldier's exam while staying with Marie, an East Side witch. Marie almost refuses until he uses a magical crystal to summon his village chief, Alka, Marie's former master. Alka instructs Marie to look after Lloyd. Lloyd, who believes he is weak, is actually quite powerful, as Marie discovers. Lloyd defeats a monster that is attempting to attack Selin, a young girl wearing a headband. Selin explains that she was cursed with the belt as a child and that only great strength could free her from it. The belt, on the other hand, falls off after she meets Lloyd and falls in love with him. Before the exam, Riho, an ex-criminal turned military cadet, senses Lloyd is extremely dangerous. Selin becomes envious when Lloyd speaks with Riho. According to Marie, Kunlun is guarded by an undefeated dungeon containing the country's most powerful monsters, so while his village considers Lloyd weak, he is most likely one of the world's strongest humans. Lloyd's name does not appear among the candidates following the exam. Officers Murthohan and Colleen, as well as Selin and Riho, are baffled as to why Lloyd was denied admission to the military cadet program. Princess Maria is still missing, according to reports. Lloyd works part-time at Chrome's cafe, which is owned by a former royal guard. Lloyd failed his written test because he wrote ancient runes, according to Colleen. Selin decides to find Marie and have Lloyd accepted into the academy as a reward. Lloyd tells Alka and Marie that he will stay at the cafe until the next exam. Marie informs Alka that her father, King Azami, is being held captive by someone plotting war against the Jiu Empire, but Alka refuses to help because Kunlun people are too powerful and only assist in apocalyptic disasters. Selin fights fellow noble student Alan Lidicane and is saved by her cursed belt, which she now wears around her waist and interprets as yet another sign that Lloyd is her soulmate. Selin declares himself her champion and declares that when Lloyd arrives, he will fight Alan for her. Alan agrees, certain that he can impress the officers. Marie swoops in and uses wind magic to whisk Lloyd away before he kills Alan inadvertently. Lloyd makes the mistake of believing that Marie saved him from Alan. Chrome then confronts Marie, whom he recognizes as the missing Princess Maria. Marie reveals that whoever is manipulating her father will almost certainly force him to declare war at a 3-day summit, and she seeks Chrome's assistance. Selin approaches Marie for help in his search for Princess Maria, only to be surprised to learn that Lloyd lives with her. Lloyd expresses his mistaken belief that Marie is a secret hero who saves people just as Marie is about to reveal her true identity. Marie takes advantage of this by accusing him of being a coward. After Lloyd has left, Marie enlists the help of Selin and Riho. Alka praises Marie for keeping Lloyd out of it, but she then punishes her for losing her magical crystal in a well. Chrome accuses Murthohan of cursing the king, which he admits is true based on information obtained from assassins searching for Marie. The king reveals to Marie, Riho, and Selin that he is possessed by the demon Lord Abaddon, and has been controlling Murthohan all along. Marie pursues her father, hoping to use one of Lloyd's runes to free him, but he breaks her hand, which contains the rune. Marie realizes Lloyd is allowed to battle a demon lord. When Lloyd discovers Alan hiding from Abaddon's locust monsters, he encourages him to fight like a true soldier. Later, Alka destroys the monsters for ruining her romantic plans with Lloyd. Chrome, Riho, and Selin battle Murthohan, who has been transformed into a locust hybrid. Lloyd appears and slaps Murthohan, all the while appealing to Murthohan's desire to be a true soldier. Marie then asks him to clean the dirt from the king's body, which he does, completely unaware that his cleansing rune is so powerful that it also removes Abaddon from the king's body. The next day, Lloyd's brother Shoma arrives, but he vanishes before Alka can see him. Murthohan is banished to Kunlun, while Chrome re-enlists in the army. Now that the king has been cured, Marie decides to remain a witch. Alan declares Lloyd his master and enrolls him in the academy, grateful for Lloyd's help. Alka fights Selin over Lloyd, and she learns that her belt is a powerful protective relic that has been missing from Kunlun for years. Marie, fed up with everyone, sends Lloyd and his friends to school and banishes Alka through her crystal back to Kunlun. Marie tasks Lloyd with extracting a holy sword from a stone. The inter-academy match between Rokuju Academy and Colleen's Academy is then announced by Colleen. Selin and Lloyd decide to study healing magic. Marie meets Mina and Philo of Rokuju Academy, who are looking for Riho. After sensing Lloyd's powerful aura, Philo attacks him instinctively. Alka then transforms Marie into a butterfly. Raul, the headmistress of Rokuju, tries to persuade Riho to return home, but he refuses angrily. Lloyd, seeing Riho upset, asks Riho out on a date, thanks to Marie's advice. Raul gave Riho the prosthetic mithril arm, but she fled because mithril drains magic and Raul only needed the arm to draw a holy sword. Mikona, a second-year student, attempts to outdo Lloyd the next day but fails miserably. Mikona goes to Marie for healing because she has a crush on her, only to find out that Lloyd lives with her. As the matches begin, Riho swears to defeat Raul, just as it is revealed that the grand prize is the Holy Sword, which Lloyd previously pulled out. Mikona later tells Shoma about her encounter. Selen is disqualified from the fight when she physically strikes Philo. In the next match, Mina tries to use her water magic against Lloyd, but he wins. Raul later removes Riho's prosthetic. Riho then begins chanting a powerful water spell, causing Raul to faint from fear. Raul is furious when he discovers that the holy sword has been recovered by a witch who lives with a young man. She instructs Philo to kidnap the young man in order to force the witch to become her ally, but Philo misinterprets and steals Alka's magical crystal instead. Lloyd rushes to find Marie, who he believes has been kidnapped. Lloyd refuses to fight Philo to the death, instead opting for arm wrestling. Lloyd defeats Philo, who decides to marry him. Alka appears from her crystal in response to an insult and punishes Raul. Alan rescues Raul from the river and is unwittingly credited with saving the town. Riho pays Raul a visit in the hospital, and Raul recalls how she became so ambitious to help Riho rebuild their failing orphanage. Meanwhile, an unknown magician has been tampering with Raul's memories in order to obtain the sword and defeat the dungeon in Kunlun. Lloyd finds work as a hotel cleaner. The owner, Koba, admits that something is attacking his workers. When Lord Threonine, a notoriously difficult guest, arrives and asks Lloyd's opinion on a cypress forest his family manages, he is impressed with Lloyd's response. Threonine later meets Kikayo, one of Koba's maids, and informs her of his suspicions that Koba is illegally raising treants in the forest. He also expresses his dissatisfaction with the local lord's desire for his daughter to marry Alan, his son. Kikayo accuses Lloyd of possession as a result of his abilities because treants are linked to demon lords, and Threonine provides an antidote. She mixes it into Lloyd's tea, but an enraged Koba accidentally drinks it. Koba suspects Kikayo and Threonine of being behind the attacks on his workers after Kikayo flees. Later, Riho, Selen, and her father appear as guests, with the Lord wishing her to marry Threonine's son. Selen, on the other hand, is overjoyed when Lloyd appears, as Threonine had asked Lloyd to stand in for Alan after he collapsed. Selen suggests that she and Lloyd go on a date to explore the neighborhood. Shoma appears, carrying a package of firebombs. Kikayo is determined to expel Lloyd's traitor, and she convinces him to have an antidote massage, but she is forced to flee when Selen notices her smuggling the antidote down Lloyd's pants. Lloyd visits a hot spring without realizing it is for mixed bathing, and Selen is enraged when Riho, Marie, Alka, Philo, and Mina interfere with her naughty plans. Kikayo meets Minoki, Threonine's secretary, who reveals that he is in charge of the treants. Minoki, the demon lord of trees, seizes control. Lloyd easily handles the treants, while Erkling heads for the hotel. Selen's father reveals that he and Shoma have been dealing in treants legally. Lloyd's friends use firebombs to keep Erkling at bay while Lloyd extracts Erkling's demon seed and returns Minoki to normalcy. Shoma confronts Alka and leaves after revealing that he has been working with one of Alka's enemies since the holy sword was removed. Selen's father cancels her arranged marriage and lets her continue her military career. Lloyd refuses to give Alka a massage in exchange for her hard work, instead performing a German suplex. Mikona meets Shoma and a priest named Father Su. Meanwhile, the king dispatches Lloyd and his companions to a new dungeon in order to defeat a giant snake. Su decides to get rid of the snake first. Alka enters the dungeon to find Su. In the dungeon by herself, Marie discovers Mikona infected by a treant. Lloyd engages Mikona in combat, but is injured while defending Selen and Philo. Mikona accuses his friends of making him weak, but Lloyd claims they helped him grow into a true soldier, and he defeats her. Vritra, Kunlun's guardian and a source of Alka's power, awakens the snake. Selen's belt is made of his skin, and he avoids death by transferring his soul into it. But Su appears and murders Vritra. Alka admits she started it unintentionally years ago. Su vanishes after promising to open Kunlun's dungeon. Alka teleports everyone to safety when the dungeon collapses. The king bestows the title of Dragon Slayer on Alan because he is credited with defeating Vritra due to a mix-up. Lloyd realizes that Su is the name of a villain from a Kunlun fairy tale. Alka later kidnaps Selen and Vritra, claiming she needs them in Kunlun. To commemorate the peace between Azami and Ju, an exhibition match is being organized. Meanwhile, with the exception of Alan, who is forced to fight in the exhibition match, Lloyd, Marie, and everyone else accompany Alka, Selen, and Vritra to Kunlun. Yug, a dwarven resident of Kunlun, joins Lloyd and his companions after being taken aback by the villagers' overwhelming strength. Colleen and Chrome pay Murthoffen a visit and are disappointed that he has no plans to return. Riho discovers that the people of Kunlun regard legendary dragons as common pests, and Selen's marriage plans are derailed when several children use her marriage licenses as weapons to drive the dragon away. Later, Selin becomes enraged when none of the other girls impress Lloyd's relatives except her. Alka and Yug discuss Sue, specifically Vritra, and reveal that for an unknown reason, they erased a portion of Vritra's memory. Marie tells Murthoffen that a traveling merchant gave him a mysterious egg, after which the king became possessed, and while Murthoffen is unable to describe the merchant's appearance, he recalls the merchant saying something Marie has heard before during their conversation. In order for Alka to retain her abilities, Vritra's body must be resurrected. Alka reveals that Kunlun's dungeon is actually a prison housing multiple demon lords, with the villagers serving as guards. The dungeon is in danger of being unlocked because Alka, being so oblivious, forgot how important Vritra was. Yug reveals that the Holy Sword is the key to the prison. Yug begins the process of resurrecting Vritra as an egg, depriving Alka of power until the egg hatches. When they are alone, Yug betrays Alka by revealing that she waited for Alka to be powerless before attempting to open the dungeon herself. She then dispatches Lloyd to find Alka, trapping him in Kunlun, while Yug teleports everyone else back to Azami and permanently closes the portal. Riho pays a visit to Raul, who starts remembering details about the magician who tampered with her memories, details that sound suspiciously like Yug. But Riho is unaware of the significance. Shoma and Sue accompany the king to the match. Riho, suspicious, requests that the match be called off. Meanwhile, Lloyd locates and releases Alka. Lloyd uses a cannon to blast Alka back to Azami. Meanwhile, Sue proposes that Azami and Ju rule the world during the match, but the king declines. Murthoffen arrives to fight Shoma, who admits that life is too boring for him and that he wants to start a war so Lloyd can be a hero. Sue reveals that he is a man-made being who was created by Alka hundreds of years ago to save the world. He was, however, unable to die once his mission was completed. As a result, he plans to have Lloyd kill him. Lloyd appears out of nowhere and accuses Yug of stage managing Vritra's resurrection for laughs. After realizing Alka had to lie to Lloyd due to his naivete, Marie plays along and convinces Alka to defeat Yug's creatures. Selin takes back Vritra's egg from Yug and verbally tortures him into switching back to a belt. Sue and Shoma leave now that Lloyd is a public hero, accompanied by a furious Yug. Alka appears, her powers restored. Alan is credited with Lloyd's valor because he defended the king from Sue. Lloyd is still living with Marie and his friends, completely unaware of what has occurred. This was it for today. Subscribe to my channel to watch more recaps.